So we have another best of list. This time Billboard dropped their top 100 hip hop albums of all time. This is the second list of the past couple of months. Of course, Apple Music gave their top 100 albums of all time regardless of genre. But in this situation, we're focusing on hip hop only, and if you follow this channel, you'll know that hip hop is one of my favorite genres, so this is going to be fun. Now, I haven't looked at the list yet. I have an idea of what the top 10 looks like, but I'm essentially going to be going into this with a blind reaction for each of these albums. I'm going to go through every album on this list, say a couple words, so let's get started. Number 100, My Turn by Lil Baby. No, just no. Sorry. Number 99, E40 in a Major Way. Yeah, I understand that there. That's a very influential Bay Area record. E40 is a legend. This is 1995. This is one of the more celebrated albums from the Bay Area for sure, and it really influenced mob music a lot as well as the hyphy scene. Number 98, Chicago's Do or Die with Picture This. They had this really quick rapping style, this chopper style. They were actually on Rap A Lot Records, so it's really cool to hear that they have been acknowledged here because they were kind of one of the OGs of the Chicago rap scene. So good to see Do or Die at 98. 97, Ghetto Boys, We Can't Be Stopped. Yep, Ghetto Boys, speaking of Rap A Lot, hugely influential group out of Houston. The first Southern hip-hop act that really achieved any sort of fame. This is their second album and one of their best as well. Scarface is a legend, Bushwick Bill, Willie D, great group. Raising Hell by Run-DMC at number 96. This is the album that had that Aerosmith collaboration, which basically brought hip-hop to a whole new audience. Let's not sugarcoat it, the white audience heard hip-hop for the first time. A lot of them did with this collaboration between Aerosmith and Run-DMC in 1986. Number 95, LL Cool J, Mama Said Knock You Out. Yeah, I understand. I've never been a huge LL Cool J fan, but he is one of the more important golden age rappers. I don't think this is his best album. I think Radio is his best record, and hopefully we'll see that on here. But yeah, I understand 95. This album makes a lot of sense. EPMD at number 94 with Business As Usual. I truly think their debut is their best album. Maybe we'll see that later on the list. I don't know. This is a solid record, though. This is when they had signed to Def Jam. Eric Sermon, amazing with the rhymes and the production. PMD was a great partner on the mic. Redman might have made his debut on this album. Maybe it was the previous album. Either way, good to see EPMD on this list. 93, BG, Chopper City in the Ghetto. Cash Money Records, New Orleans, late 90s stuff. I love that whole sound. 93rd best hip-hop album of all time, though. It's one of the better Cash Money records for sure. I agree with this placement. This isn't bad. Number 92, this is too low for me, personally. Of course, I'm not going to agree with some of these. Mystic Styles by 3-6 Mafia. I think that's one of the best Southern hip-hop albums ever. Trailblazing record. A lot of modern hip-hop sounds like it does because of 3-6 Mafia, because of the style that came out on this record. This album has really gotten a lot of accolades in recent years. 15 years ago, when I was a big fan of this album, I discovered it maybe 20 years ago. Nobody really cared about this record, so it's nice to see it on this list. But for me, this is definitely higher than 92, but we'll take it. Number 91, Culture by Migos. Yeah, I understand how influential they are on modern hip-hop. You want to talk about 3-6 Mafia and their influence? Well, that's where Migos took a lot of it from. I don't think it's top 100 of all time, but I understand why it's here, so not too mad at this one. Bizarre Ride to the Far Side at number 90. I love the Far Side, and this is a great record. So is their next record, Lab Cabin California. I hope we see that on here. I don't think we will if this one's at number 90. I'm glad to see they made the list. This is one of the best West Coast albums that is not associated with Death Row Records. This basically sounded like an East Coast album. It was released at the time where the focus was on the West Coast. Has a lot of boom bap, dusty beats. This is a great record and really actually happy to see it at number 90. Number 89, Public Enemy, Fear of a Black Planet. That might be too low. That is a really influential album. I think that's their second best album behind It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. This pissed a lot of people off. It pissed a lot of white people off. Anytime you're pissing the white masses off, you've got to vote in my book. This was a very politically, racially charged album. It was very important. It was one that I think hip-hop needed, especially with a lot of the things going on in the late 80s, early 90s, especially in New York City. Yeah, great to see them on this list. I just hope It Takes a Nation of Millions makes it on here too. OG Original Gangster, Ice-T at 88. Yeah, Ice-T is one of the OGs. How else would you put it? And this record is very important. It's not structurally the strongest record, but it's good. It's influential, and it pioneered gangster rap, and it definitely deserves a spot on this list. 87, The Roots, Things Fall Apart. I'm originally from Philly, so I love The Roots. I hope this is not their only album on the list. I have a feeling it will be. I would say that Illadelph Half-Life is stronger, but Things Fall Apart is a great record. I prefer the mid-90s style a bit more, but Things Fall Apart is great. They really expanded their sound here. They got the live instrumentation a little better, a little more neo-soul. They had some big guest appearances on here. This was kind of their breakout album. I'm not mad at this one at all. I would say this is in my top 100, somewhere in the 80s as well. Really hoping we see Illadelph Half-Life at some point. 86, The Documentary by The Game. Not my favorite record, but I understand why it's here. The Game was hugely influential when he was part of G-Unit back in the mid-2000s, and he was the sole representative of the West Coast. This was a big album when it came out. 85, Outkast, Southern playlist of Cadillac music. For me personally, the older the Outkast album is, the more I like it. I have a feeling we'll see at least one more Outkast album on here, if not 2 or 3. For me, it's my favorite. Number 85, I think that's fair. But this is the one that put them on the map. This is an infectious album, man. This thing is awesome. It's got so many great tracks. It's so fun to listen to, and it's not pretentious. They got a little bit try-hard with their later work, and this thing is authentic as they come. The DOC, no one could do it better at 84. That's a solid West Coast album, late 80s. Dr. Dre before he got really big when he was still in NWA. DOC is a great lyricist. Unfortunately, ended up losing his voice in a car accident right after this album came out, but we did get a really solid record from the DOC here. Number 84 is appropriate. Diplomatic Immunity by the Diplomats at 83. This is a fun record. This was huge when I was in high school, so I definitely understand the placement here. I wouldn't put it in my top 100, but I understand why many people would. Dipset was huge around that time, and this was kind of where they came together the most. MC Light, Light as a Rock, 82, seeing some representation for the female MCs. This album made a real statement. She wasn't going to mess around because of her gender. Just such a strong lyrical performance. I think that the beats on this album are a little bit weak, but it's still a groundbreaking album. Not mad at number 82. That's appropriate. Missy Elliott, Missy's So Addictive at number 81. This was kind of more like a pop rap album. I wasn't the biggest fan of this, although it was huge. Get Your Freak On, 1 Minute Man, you know. That's my childhood right there. Yeah, 1 Minute Man was my childhood. Look how I turned out. Number 80, Roddy Ricch. Please excuse me for being antisocial. I don't agree with this. I don't think Roddy Ricch deserves a spot in the top 100. That's it. Astro World, Travis Scott, 79. Yeah, I see why it is where it is. People love this album. I think it's okay. Travis Scott is okay. I think Rodeo is better, but Astroworld is solid. It's sort of a watershed moment for the new wave of Southern hip hop. Number 78. This is going to piss some people off. Madvillainy by Madvillain, MF Doom and Madlib. A lot of people consider this in their top 10. I don't. I think it's overrated, but 78? Nah, man. I think top 30 at the worst. This is going to annoy some people. This is a great album. Certainly not top 5 or top 10, but 78, that's excessive. 8Ball and MJG coming out hard, number 77. I love 8Ball and MJG. This was their first record. Pretty much my favorite thing they've ever done. Great sampling. This predates 3 6 Mafia's breakout from Memphis. 8Ball and MJG, they literally did come out hard as one of the first acts from Memphis on a mainstream level, if you can call it mainstream. Either way, they drummed up a lot of success with this album, and this was the beginning of a great career. Cypress Hill, self-titled debut at number 76. Agreed. Yeah, this is a little bit primitive. They would get better on later records. This is really enjoyable. Some of the sampling, the bass lines, DJ Muggs give some great beats. If there's a weakness, it's that Be Real and Sendog weren't the strongest lyricists, but this is a solid debut. I'm happy to see it at 76. xXXtentacion 17, number 75 now. I just don't see it. This fascination we have with posthumous artists, whether they be rappers or Kurt Cobain or Jimi Hendrix, I think if he was still alive, this wouldn't be on this list. Chief Keef, Finally Rich. Man, I don't understand this one either. Drill music was really made big with this album, but it just doesn't have a lot of redeeming qualities. I understand that it was style defining and influential and led to a lot of things for better or for worse, but 74 is too high. Muddy Waters by Redman at 73. This is not his best album. This is his third best as far as I'm concerned. I think There Is a Dark Side and What the Album are better, so I'm hoping we see one of those on here. I don't think we will, but Muddy Waters is a solid record. Newark, New Jersey, gritty, boom bap, mid-90s, dusty, loud. It's a fun record, but Redman definitely has better work. Tyler, the Creator, Call Me When You Get Lost. Yeah, I thought this was a good effort from Tyler. He had a bit of a turbulent early career, but he's come back with some really good efforts in the last 5 years or so, and this was a solid record. 72, that seems fair. Lil Uzi Vert, Love Is Rage 2. Nah. I don't think it's top 100. It's not a bad record, but not top 100. Number 70, Mos Def Black on Both Sides. In my book, it's a little higher, maybe top 50, but I can't be too mad at number 70 here. Very influential underground record during a time where New York couldn't figure out if they wanted to be underground or mainstream. This sort of towed the line a little bit, so very good record. Glad to see it here. 69, Nicki Minaj, Pink Friday. I just don't think anything by Nicki Minaj belongs in the top 100. I agree she's influential, really powerful, confident female rapper, but her music just isn't that good. For 68, Kanye and Jay-Z, Watch the Throne. Yeah, I always thought this album was overrated as well. I think both of those guys are extremely overrated, but I understand why it's here. 68, it makes sense to me. I don't agree with it, but it makes sense. The Carter 3 by Lil Wayne. I thought the Carter 2 was better. We'll probably see it on here. I don't think this is top 100. Carter 2 definitely, but let's see what happens as the list goes on. Cameron, Come Home With Me, 66. I think that's fair. That was a huge album in 2002 when it came out. Hey Ma and Oh Boy were very, very influential tracks. This was a massive album, and it's held up pretty well. Trap Music by T.I., number 65. I'm not the biggest T.I. fan, but I understand why this is here once again. Yeah, T.I. was, for the next generation, I guess in the early 2000s of Atlanta rappers, he was at the forefront with guys like Ludacris, Lil Jon. Of course, T.I. was more lyrical, so yeah, this makes sense at 65. Warren G, Regulate, G-Funk Air at 64. G-Funk at its finest, honestly. Some of the better G-Funk that's out there. This was sort of adjacent to Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, what was going on at Death Row at the time. Warren G was kind of doing his own thing. I believe he was Snoop Dogg's cousin. This was a strong effort for sure. I mean, the title track here, just so smooth. One of the best G-Funk songs ever. 63, Midnight Marauders, Tribe Called Quest. This is too low. No, this should be higher. This is a great, great album. I think the Low End Theory is just a little bit better, but this third effort by Tribe, that's in probably the top 30 in my book. Happy it made it on here though. Let's just hope we see the Low End Theory. Rhythmalism, DJ Quick, a lot of deeper West Coast albums on here. DJ Quick is great. He's so talented, such a great sampler, great rapper, great producer, and this is probably his best record, so Rhythmalism at 62, I like it. UGK Riding Dirty at number 61, yeah, I like that a lot. 1996, I believe this was their third record. This is the album that really did put them on the map. UGK's fantastic, they're an institution. Bun B is still active, of course, Pimp C left us in 2007, rest in peace. This was their best album. One Day is one of my favorite hip-hop songs of all time. Great choice here at 61. Here it is, the Carter 2, number 60. This is kind of what I was expecting to see. I think this is an appropriate placement, maybe a little bit high. This was a generation-defining album for Southern hip-hop. After his Cash Money days, he broke out and had a great solo career. So yeah, Carter 2, definitely his best record. Makes sense where it is. 59, J. Cole 2014, Forest Hills Drive. I get it. I see why it's here. Do I love it? Not really. Top 100, yeah. 59, probably not. J. Cole's good. He's not great. I think he's overrated, but at least he's not Drake. Nipsey Hussle, Victory Lap 58. Yeah, posthumous fascination here once again. This album isn't quite as strong as people think, but at the same time, this has become a really important album for the newer generation on the West Coast, so I definitely understand it. It's another one of those I don't agree with, but I understand it. Nipsey Hussle, he was a legend in his own right. I'm actually happy to see it here. 57, it was written by Nas. Maybe a little too low, but I kind of get it. I think it's higher. I think it's top 40 probably. This is a great record. For the longest time, I thought this was very close to his strongest album, Illmatic, of course, being number 1. I've kind of cooled off on this album in recent years, but yeah, great record. Number 56, Liquid Swords by GZA. This is probably the second best Wu-Tang solo effort, but 56, man, no, that's not good enough. That needs to be higher. That needs to be in the top 25, top 20 even. This album's just legendary. It's cold, it's dark. GZA on this album, his lyrical performance is one of the best I've ever heard. 56 is too low. Stankonia by Outkast, 55. This is what I mean. I like their earlier work. I think they got a little pretentious, a little bit too artsy-fartsy on their later stuff. Stankonia just didn't ever really do it for me. I get why it's here. For me, it's not even in the top 100 though. Call me a hater. I don't know. I like their 90s stuff better. 54, To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. 54? 54? T-Pab is top 10, top 15 at the worst. 54, that's an oversight. Way too low. The hip-hop album of its generation, number 54, I don't agree with that. Sorry, Billboard, you got this one wrong. They did this on purpose. This is a troll job by Billboard. Number 53, Nothing Was the Same by Drake. No Drake in any top 100 list. I said the same thing for Apple Music. I'm going to say this for Billboard. No, just no. B by Common, number 52. This is a solid record. I like it where it is. I don't think it's Common's best album. I think Resurrection is his best, but this was kind of a close second. Common, he's a little older, a little more mature. Kanye West on the boards. This is a good album from start to finish. Nice compact listen. 52 makes sense. Number 51, Queen Latifah, All Hail the Queen. I don't know how you rank this over MC Lyte, but yeah, Queen Latifah was solid. I agree it gets a spot in the top 100. She was pretty furious when she came out. Now she's a talk show host. Things are different, but yeah, this is a solid pick at number 51. I'm happy to see them giving her some recognition on this list.